leave DACA in place. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, R., came out swinging this morning on Fox and Friends. He warned lawmakers of both parties to fix this the right way or we risk destroying the basic way of government. Advertisement. Wow, and he is not wrong either. Look, this is a tough decision. We don't want to punish children, but the last time we tried an amnesty program we have very mixed results. So regardless what they decide, we need to fix the whole damn immigration system once and for all. Everyone wants to come here and we should be welcome, but without rules we are just a bunch of suckers. Advertisement, and we can no longer afford to be a bunch of suckers in a hyper-competitive globalized world. We exported our jobs to lift countries out of poverty, we take in all comers, and that was fine while we were the biggest economic superpower. But times have changed, China has a huge economy, the European zone does as well. We must adapt or be left behind. What is so disingenuous? They, lawmakers, had all the opportunities in the world, Huckabee said. We say we have to fix this, but we have to do it the right way, else, we become a nation of emotion, rather than a nation of law. Correct, and a good way to ruin a country is run it on emotion. When we allow any branch of government, whether the executive, judicial or the legislative, to run amok, then we have destroyed our basic way of government and we're living in anarchy at that point, he added. Which is what Obama Executive Order, Consideration of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, did. We need Congress to finally do their damn job and establish the immigration laws of this country, and Trump and the Dodge can actually start enforcing them. Mexico discovers easy way to solve mess Obama's DACA program caused. Mexican, Salvadoran and Guatemalan officials seemed very upset because President Trump is ending DACA, the popular program that Obama used to flood us with illegal immigrants. Mexico's Deputy Foreign Minister, Carlos Sada, said that Trump's decision created anxiety, anguish and fear. Yes, it strikes fear in the Mexican government, who will have to take responsibility for their own citizens instead of having Americans subsidize the 625,000 Mexican citizens. There are 800,000 that will be deported. Advertisement, they're exceptional. This is as emotional for the United States as for Mexico, Sada said at a news conference immediately following the announcement to end the program. He urged for a quick solution to the uncertainty that dreamers, as they are commonly called, now face in their adopted home. Mexico is taking responsibility, as immigrants who choose to return to Mexico will be greeted with open arms, Sada said, offering them assistance with work, finances and education. The announcement to end DACA came during the discussions between D.C. and Mexico City regarding modernizing NAFTA. This has added some pressure between the two allies, but Mexico would be dead in the water without the U.S. Advertisement, El Salvador's Foreign Relations Minister, Hugo Martinez, said he wants to meet with Congress in Washington to come up with a solution. A solution to keep the U.S. paying for Salvadorians on American soil that belong in El Salvador. It's a worrisome situation. We will be lobbying to have legislation as soon as possible that opens a way out, that opens a bridge for the beneficiaries of DACA, Martinez said. Guatemala's Foreign Relations Ministry believes that their consulates in the U.S. will aid the DACA recipients in the U.S. They don't want their citizens to be forced back into their nation. It's all a ploy to keep the U.S. taking care of their citizens. Mexico is the only nation who seems to be stepping up to take care of their own citizens now that they have no choice. The rest of Central America is fighting for the U.S. to keep these illegals. What do you think if the Fox News uncovers voter fraud? Chicago Elections Board tried to keep quiet. The head of the Chicago Republican Party is claiming the city reported thousands more votes cast than voters in the 2016 election, sparking a battle with Chicago officials who call the allegations overblown. This story first broke by the Chicago City Wire after the Chicago GOP filed a Freedom of Information Act with the Board of Elections in Obama's hometown. The board released the list of voters. The website tallies 1,115,664 votes cast. The information received from the Board of Elections said that there were 1,101,178 total voters. How can there be more votes cast than people registered to vote? Advertisement: there should never be more votes than voters. Every ballot cast should be recorded against a registered voter, Chairman of the Chicago GOP Chris Cleveland told Fox News, explaining that after receiving the data, the party immediately contacted the board for clarification. This is either massive fraud or massive incompetence, but we have no way of telling the difference because they won't give us the data. Yes, the discrepancy of 14,000 doesn't seem that large, but it should be at 0. There should never be more votes than there are number of voters. They ignored them, Cleveland said. They have been stonewalling us for 6 months. Advertisement: but a spokesman for the aforementioned Board of Elections, Jim Allen, told Fox News that the Chicago GOP is making false claims, yet the numbers prove that they are correct. They're looking at a preliminary report from January, and just recently, in the last week, they filed a request for an updated report, Allen said. They're looking at incomplete data. Cleveland told Fox News he did send another FOIA request last week. Allen said the initial data from January didn't include a post-election review of paper ballot applications. What do you think of yet another voter fraud issue? Is this why we need voter ID and why we need to make sure we don't put corrupt people on election boards? Trump humiliates Obama after Barack opens big mouth about DACA decision. The Daily Mail has the details on an important breaking story about DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. After cowardly former President Obama lashed out at President Trump for his plan to end the unconstitutional program, Trump hit back hard, issuing a statement that reassures critics and puts Obama in his place. Trump humiliates Obama yet again. It's become something we're used to hearing daily by now. Let me be clear, Obama's place is not in the White House. Obama's place is sitting on his couch watching TV and staying out of the way while the real adults get to work led by President Trump. Trump's plan to end DACA was announced by Attorney General Jeff Sessions today. Around 800,000 children of illegal immigrants, including many who are now full-grown adults, will now be eligible for deportation. An hour after Sessions dropped the bombshell, Trump put out a written statement explaining why DACA is a goner. Protesters swarmed outside Trump Tower following the decision and the usual suspects whined on social media. In fact, as Trump explained in his statement, "My highest duty is to defend the American people and the Constitution of the United States of America. At the same time, I do not favor punishing children, most of whom are now adults, for the actions of their parents. But we must also recognize that we are a nation of opportunity because we are a nation of laws. Indeed, if the law is cruel, then the Democrats should have worked to change the law instead of having their liar-in-chief pass an unconstitutional executive action to force it through." Trump said exactly that, writing that Obama's order bypassed Congress to give work permits, Social Security numbers, and federal benefits to approximately 800,000 illegal immigrants currently between the ages of 15 and 36. The typical recipients of this executive amnesty, known as DACA, are in their 20s. Legislation offering these same benefits had been introduced in Congress on numerous occasions and rejected each time. In other words, Obama couldn't ram through legislation the American people didn't want, so he just ignored them and made it into a law. Apparently now upholding the law makes Trump a racist pig, according to Keith Olbermann and other unhinged voices of the left. In his statement, Trump even held open the possibility of immigration reform, improving the green card system and overall working to make immigration into the United States better. As he said, Congress now has the opportunity to advance responsible immigration reform that puts American jobs and American security first. We are facing the symptom of a larger problem, illegal immigration, along with the many other chronic immigration problems Washington has left unsolved. What exactly is racist about that? It's enough that Obama created this problem, couldn't he at least step out of the way now and let President Trump fix Sarah Huckabee Sanders shuts down liberal reporter with brutal lesson on Constitution. The Trump administration received backlash for eliminating the unconstitutional DACA program that was enacted by Obama to redraw our political landscape. The Justice Department even said that the actions by Obama were unconstitutional. Illegal is illegal, no matter which child's face you want to put on the bill. Then a reporter had the gall to ask Sarah Huckabee Sanders why Trump hasn't written any laws. The legislative branch, not the executive branch, writes these laws. This is the bedrock of our constitutional system, which I took a solemn oath to preserve, protect, and defend. Advertisement. In June of 2012, President Obama ignored Congress. He gave work permits, Social Security numbers, and federal benefits to nearly 1 million illegal immigrants. He skipped the law and decided what was best without Congress, but when Trump doesn't write a law, this reporter is upset. Never mind the fact that presidents don't write laws. In referencing the idea of creating new immigration rules unilaterally, President Obama admitted that I can't just do these things by myself, and yet that is exactly what he did, making an end run around Congress and violating the core tenets that sustain our republic. At today's White House briefing, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was pitted against one reporter who didn't want to give her any slack. Advertisement. The president basically told Congress to do this, but he hasn't written any legislation similar to how he approached. This set Sanders off. This reporter doesn't quite understand how things work in D.C. You'd think a reporter at a WH briefing would, but not with today's liberal media. Sanders cut off the reporter's question immediately, stating, "I didn't know it was the president's job to write out specific details of legislation." The reporter rephrased the question, asking whether Trump was going to reach out to allies in Congress to introduce the legislation and work closely with Congress to determine how to go about the issue. Watch this. What do you think of eliminating DACA? Do you think it was just? Steve Harvey reveals disgusting names liberals called him after he met with Trump. Steve Harvey famously met with President Trump at Trump Tower after Trump's historic win. Many people met with Trump because Trump wanted to hear from all sides on every debate. Trump came in trying to unite, not divide the nation, and it is a sad day that the liberals refused to give him a chance. Advertisement. Sadder still is what the liberals did to anyone who dared even meet with President Trump. Such is their hatred for him and apparently for democracy itself. Now on a promotional tour to plug his latest show, he currently has 6 shows on TV, he finally revealed what happened to him after he met with Trump. This interview was conducted by The Hollywood Reporter and this is an edited version. Advertisement. HR. Earlier this year, you met with then President-elect Donald Trump. Contorts his face. Why are you making that face? Steve Harvey. I didn't see that coming. Jesus. HR. See what coming? Steve Harvey. The backlash? It was so vicious that it really threw me. I was being called names that I've never been called, Uncle Tom. A coon. A sellout. Because I went to see this man? Which only happened because my business partner got a call from the Obama transition team, who said that the Trump transition team would like to set up a meeting. The Obama team said they thought it would be a good idea because the president is encouraging dialogue. And I have a relationship with Obama. We're friends. So I say, okay, cool. Now, here's the crazy thing, I'm supposed to be on a boat for my 60th birthday, so my wife says, Steve, just take off, and skip the meeting. You'll meet with him some other time. God, I should have listened. HR, what did you and Trump discuss? Steve Harvey, we talked about golf for 20 minutes. And then I told him, Mr. President, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't vote for you. I campaigned very hard for Hillary Clinton. And I said, the problem was that we made a lot of mistakes in the campaign. We were playing checkers and you all was playing chess. But now that you're here, you're the 45th president and I'm going to help you. He wants to know how, so I say, you've appointed Ben Carson as the head of housing and urban development, and I've got keys to a lot of cities around this country from the years of performing that I've done. I can get an ear to them really quick and find out what their real needs are. Yet we'll keep closing schools in the cities. Why don't we take those schools that are closing, put some HUD money in them, and reopen them as vision centers and teach STEM and computers and coding? If you connect me with Ben Carson, I can help him with that." A few minutes later, he had Ben Carson on the phone. "HR, anything come of it?" "Steve Harvey, I've been to HUD twice. I've met with Dr. Carson and we're actually trying to get it started. We've had meetings, and now we're just waiting on the final notes. We have several teams in place. Hopefully before the year goes out, we'll be making the announcement about the first Vision Center."